It's the Reedie Zee Show. Reedie Zee Show. Reedie Zee Show.
What's up, everybody? It's your guys, Reedie Zee, here Monday Command Live with our guy, NFL insider Lake Lewis Jr. What's up, Lake?
What's going on, fellas? How you doing?
Doing great. So today we are talking about the early takeaways from training camp. We're going to recap day 1 through 5 and what we saw versus what Lake saw. And we're just going to talk about the team as a whole. A lot of excitement going around. With a lot of battles, a lot of key players, and today we got some, rumors about what Terry may be asking for. So we're gonna tap in. So stay tuned with us right here, and we're going live now.
It's the Reedie Zee Show. Reedie Zee Show. It's the Reedie Zee Show. Reedie Zee Show. Reedie Zee
Show. What's up? How y'all doing, fellas?
Pretty good.
Good.
Yeah, so
we just
Lake,
want to take the time to say thank you for coming on with us, Lake. You know what I'm saying? It's been a long time coming, trying to get you on the show, but definitely love what you're doing in the, the journalism community for us Commanders fans, us vloggers and podcasters of the sort. And I just want to take this time to just thank you for everything you're doing and always looking out for us, you know what I mean?
Well, no, I appreciate that, man. And we're no different. I let people know that all the time. Like, I'm fortunate at where I am in the position I'm in, but that's from fans. That's from people like yourselves, who reach out. And I've always said, if I have the platform, I'm gonna give my folks a chance, and that's what we do. So I appreciate you guys wanting me on.
No question. And definitely, I want to get this out the way. I was telling Reedie, I definitely want to let Lake know City Boys are up. You've been from the city, we City Boys as well. So that city love is in the air, man.
I say it all the time. When I look around the media room, no offense, but when I look around the room, it's not a lot of people that look like me in there. And other than that, the majority of the folks aren't from this area.
Mm-hmm.
So, I grew up with this burgundy and gold blood, man. I really did. And people say, well, how do you keep it not biased? And I'm like, because I have a job to do first. So yeah, but do I want this team to win every game they play? Of course I do. I really do. It makes life easier for me as a journalist when things are going well. And so again, man, I appreciate it, and it's real. It's real love here. I appreciate you guys and what you guys are doing. You got a really good platform. So anything I can do to help keep pushing it for you, I will.
Appreciate you.
No question. So day 1 of camp, how I rolled out, of course, Terry wasn't in the building. And we're gonna get into the Terry part in a little bit, but we got an alert. Day 1, the fans wasn't able to be there, and you were there. So tell us, like, what you saw day 1, first play. We go up top and we hit Debo with a touchdown, and how excited were the guys when that occurred?
Yeah, they were definitely excited, but you know what? Excuse me, they've seen this all throughout OTAs. They've seen it in camp. And they've seen it firsthand, some of these guys going up against Debo. So, excuse me, for him to be able to do that, I just thought it was the perfect way to start, your camp. And clearly, when you see him out there pretty much running in the spot Terry's supposed to be running in, it shows you that although everyone and their mom, including myself, knows that they need Terry on that field, there's life after Terry if, God forbid, something like that were to happen and Terry wasn't here. So that was a big play. And make no mistake, that play was ran for a reason. So, you know what I mean? So it was good to see that it was executed properly.
Definitely.
And Debo's looked great. We'll talk about the other days, of course. I mean, he had a hell of a catch today. Kept his feet in bounds. So, he looks really good, man, and I'm so glad I have a platform to dispel all the crap about him being out of shape. There's never been any truth to that, and I've shot that down every time I heard it. The people who are talking about it, I've never seen him one time out of the practice. So, he's
absolutely, and definitely, it was great to see. You know what I mean? Because when you have being in NFL player and things of that nature, you got all the naysayers and all the words, and a lot of times we always hear the guys block it out. And I'm sure Debo had his ways of blocking it out, but you can only block out but so much. You see the comments, people tagging you all day, and everything you do, they saying something. So to see him drop that video and pop all them comments in, and boop, 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 all the negativity, and just show the grind, it was like, it made me hype. It took me back to my football days. I got excited.
You should have felt excited. If you're a fan of the Burgundy and Gold, you should be excited, because the one thing the NFC East or the NFL in general does not want is an angry Deebo Samuel. So
fact.
That's what they're going to get now, and Washington's going to be the beneficiary of all of that. So just to think of him and Terry on the field at the same time, man, it's scary. It really is. Because now you're not going to be able to gang up on one or the other. For a long time in San Francisco, Kyle would have to move him around sometimes, because at one point there wasn't a Brandon Ayuk or a Jawan Jennings. He's kind of a one-man gang at one point. And Terry's had to live like that here in Washington. So for both of them to have, a counterpart on the other side that's equally as dangerous, it's just going to open things up. It really is.
Yeah. Definitely.
I think Deebo has a chip on his shoulder, just like some of the other players on his team, based off of where we ended the season last year, and just overall as players, because in the national media and the national spotlight, I mean the dynamic is kind of changing now. But the onus on us was that we weren't ready. We were 2 or 3 years away, and I think they just have a lot to prove, and it shows from the top down, from the front office, through the head coach and through the players.
You know what? That's a great point, man. And I can tell you from talking to guys and coaches, they were pretty PO'd, man, about that NFC Championship game. Like, they picked their worst day to have their worst game. And a lot of them want that run back. They absolutely do. They feel like that last season obviously wasn't a fluke. They feel like they're legit. And the only way you're going to be able to prove that is to beat the bully of the block, and that's the Eagles. And I think all these moves, Deebo Samuel, Laramie Tunsil, everything they did, even in the draft with Josh Connolly Jr., everything they did was geared towards being able to compete against the Eagles and being able to stand their ground from a physicality standpoint. And I'm telling you guys, I've been doing this a long time. This is the best looking team I've ever seen in Burgundy and Gold, but just hands down. And I don't think that's an overstatement. I think that's real. I think this is a Super Bowl caliber team where there's no guessing. Could they be good enough to do it? They are good enough to do it. They're good enough to get there. I've already said it. I put my prediction out for the Super Bowl a couple of weeks ago. People are like, you haven't even seen training camp. If everybody's healthy and all things go the way they should, I think it's Washington versus the Ravens. I truly believe that. Lamar gets his first chance at a Super Bowl, but I think Jayden gets his first Super Bowl dub. That's what I see.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. Just think about, because we was at the Baltimore game last year, and the excitement around the game. I'm talking about literally day by day, probably every few hours we checking for tickets, because the tickets was so high they end up coming down. Man, that'd be crazy.
That, to me, of all games last year, I mean, NFC Championship game was special, being there and all that was special. Yeah. Cold. It was
we was in the building. We was in the building.
So the whole vibe of being there, it was different. And there was a lot of nerves, I will say that. But that Ravens game, I think that Ravens game in defeat was Washington's true coming out party. And I mean that because the narrative all week, I remember, was they were going to go to Baltimore and get slaughtered. And they were, you're at 4-1, but you haven't played anybody, and that luck's going to run out. And I think that was the first time in the locker room afterwards, guys were really upset. They felt like they should have won the football game. And I think what happened with them in that game, obviously not to recap that, but I do know that I think there was so much respect for the Ravens that they weren't even sure if they could play with them. And by the time they realized we can play with these guys and beat these guys, it was just a little too late. But from that point on, you knew what you had. And I think that is kind of like a microcosm of that NFC Championship game. With that being their last game, they didn't have a do-over after that. Well, I think this season is the do-over from that NFC Championship game. And it should be a fun season for Burgundy and Gold, for sure.
Yeah, man, because after that game, the NFC Championship, the way Jayden looked, his face, the piss, and you got to sit through them interviews, and I could just see his face, and I'm like, yeah, like, man, yeah, it's over for y'all. Like, I'm putting the league, I'm going crazy next year. So
he was mad, and I think the one thing about Jayden that fans, they hear it, and they, we're telling you guys all the time, he's uber competitive. I'm gonna say this, and I hope it's taken the way I'm gonna say this.
Mm-hmm.
That dude is a killer, and understand that when I say that he's always trying to take your throat out, and I'm just telling you, that's what makes him so different. At that age too, like he knows he's good, but he's the type of guy that'll tell you real talk. He'll tell you he's not a top 10 quarterback in the league. That's his mentality. Like, I haven't done anything. I haven't won a Super Bowl. And so that should tell you his mindset. Not just win some games, not being an NFC Championship. His thing is just like, his favorite player, favorite athlete of all time is Kobe. Yeah, and he has that Kobe mentality. You remember Kobe, in that championship series against Detroit, whatever. And he's like, they were a game away from clinching. And he's like, we haven't done anything. We haven't won the series yet. That's Jayden's mentality. And that's why I think this team's always going to be relevant now.
Yeah, job not done. I was just about to mention the Kobe mentality because he's rocking a different color Kobe cleats. And I believe Z was on with the Junkies earlier, and they were talking about the different color cleats, and Z was like, those are the Kobe's. And then I think it was Lurch was like, he didn't know that those were the Kobe's. Like he loves Kobe, you know what I'm saying? So it's just that when you brought that up, I just thought that immediately.
You know what, man? It's a lot of Laker love on this team. When you think about
even Vaughn too.
Yeah, and you think of one of their minority owners, obviously, is Magic, Laker great. Some people might argue the greatest Laker of all time, and then Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner's a huge Kobe Bryant fan, and just talked to us last week about, him having a minority ownership in the Seattle Storm. And the fact is that, he mentioned that Magic was instrumental in helping him make that decision because they talked about it. And then on top of that, he said that Kobe, having the chance to meet him and talk to him before obviously Kobe passed, So there's a lot of Laker love with this team. Their biggest, brightest player is, from California, longtime Laker fan. So, I mean, they picking the right organization, the model, from a standpoint of championship. So that's not a bad deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You got something or you want to go?
No, go ahead.
So speaking of, Z alluded to, day one. So thus far through 5 days of training camp, what position groups are you liking the most? Because I me being out there, I'm just like, this secondary looks like on a different level that I haven't seen in a long time for our secondary. They just look like those three, like it's not much action going to Marshawn's side, but Amos looks the part, and Mikey, seems like he's picking up where he left off, minus the the Jaylin Lane catch over the top, but other than that, he's looking pretty solid.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mean, most of the position groups look good. That's the thing. It's like on a daily basis, one shifts a little bit. You might have a D-line had themselves a day on Friday, putting pressure on Jayden. But then, you follow it up with the offensive line now holding their own. So it's a hard question. I will say the buzz, though, around that secondary is real. And, obviously you talk about Trey, Amos, obviously the rookie. And I think he's going to have the same kind of impact Mikey Samerstill had last year. I think he's going to have that kind of dynamic to his game. So he's starting now on the outside opposite Marshawn, and Mikey's kind of moved into the slot. But Mikey's one of those guys now that they can move all over the field. And when he was in college in Michigan, he was a blitzing guy.
Blitzing, yeah.
So they're going to utilize all his strengths. So he looks great. You know, on the back end, I think Will Harris is going to make people forget about Jeremy Chin really quickly because he's a guy that can cover as well as come up and hit you. Something Jeremy struggled in was coverage. That's the bottom line. Quan Martin, he looks so much bigger now. Like he's bulked up. And he's ready to really be more of that vocal leader on the defense. You know, he's one of the smartest players they have. And I think he takes that step now to, you know, possibly starting to get some talk of Pro Bowls because he's that talented. But the wild card in that secondary to me, you know, is Tyler Owens. And
man,
the guy is really impressing. He was impressing last year, you know, and got injured. And, you know, it was undrafted rookie, you know, was making some plays, especially on special teams. But, you know, that rookie season for a lot of guys, it's just the process, you know, of speed, you know, slowing the speed of the game down and getting comfortable in your assignments. And sometimes it takes guys 2 years to know the playbook. That's just how it goes in the NFL. Well, you can see that everything slowed down for him, and he's already just a freaky athlete, man. I mean, this guy, you know, we're talking size, and I say it all the time. When you look at him in his pads, the first thing that goes through your mind being back there at that safety is like, he looks like Sean a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Size and the speed. He's not Sean Taylor. No one was.
Mm-hmm.
You know that. Rest in peace to Sean. But I think Tyler Owens is one of those special guys that they're going to find ways to get onto the field quite a bit this year.
Yeah, that's exciting to hear because last year I was high on Tyler Owens. You know, getting out there to training camp and seeing what he was doing, he was definitely standing out and making plays. And then, you know, especially when he made the team, I was excited about that. But it definitely, you know, when he got hurt, it's like, dang, man, he been doing so good, and then he get hurt. But you know, he was able to get back and get the special teams, get those reps, and still make an impact. So leading into this year is definitely was one of my guys that I wanted to keep an eye on because, you know, I mean, I know Will Harris. I think did he sign a multi-year deal? Or was it a 1 year?
I think we'll sign a 2-year deal.
2-year deal. Okay, cool. So, you know, I mean, with that being, and I know they like to rotate a lot of guys, so he'll still be able to, you know, get on the field to such, but could be, you know, I've made a prediction like he could be giving them a little push for playing time there, but like you said, with them being so versatile and moving guys around, they all may be on the field at one time.
And see, that's another great point, Z, is that I try to tell people all the time, the way this team is set up and the versatility of it, you may not literally be on the field for the first play on defense, okay? But with what they have on defense now, you may get more reps in a game, depending on the scenario and situation, than the guy that was out there on the first play. So I think that starting thing, I mean, unless you are a staple, someone that they know is going to be on the field at all times, like Mikey's going to be on the field a lot. But some people may say, well, Trey Amos starts over Mikey. No, he does not. I mean, there are 3 corners in this defense to start.
Right.
But, you know, on a given Sunday, you might find Mikey on the outside and Trey in the, you know, underneath in the slot. You may find Marshawn in the slot at times. They're in a position now where they can match up what another team's doing from a sheer talent standpoint. They can kind of dictate how they're going to play defense and not let the offense dictate to their defense what they're going to do.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm excited now too, just to kind of, as I sit and think about it, with Trey's size and length, you know, seeing him match up against the AJ Brown, you know, I mean, some of the bigger receivers in the league, that helps because I mean, so much we focus on, all right, Marshawn got to get his redemption against AJ from, you know, those games and then in the NFC Championship, but it's like, man, Amos might can match up with him and really give him some go. So, and we saw Mikey had some, you know, some good reps against him last year too.
Yeah, I was going to say Mikey had success and Marshawn had some success. So, you know, at an NFC Championship game, people think of the penalties and them fighting and stuff. I'm okay with that, man, because that told me that he wasn't backing down. And keep in mind, he was playing on one leg. Let's call it like this. He was playing on one leg. No pass rush was being generated. They couldn't stop the run. It was it wasn't just Marshawn that didn't play well in that football game, but everyone keeps going back to that. I go back to the game here at Northwest Stadium where Marshawn was really up in AJ, and AJ made some plays. And that, AJ Brown's is one of the best receivers in the league. He's going to make plays. But I can assure you, AJ thinks of his matchups with Marshawn. There's none of that. Oh, who I got? Benji. I got St. Juice going up. I'm going up against him. Oh man, I'm about to make some money tonight. It's none of that.
Yeah,
it's oh my God, I got this guy going up against him. I'm gonna have to buckle up my chin strap because he's gonna be in my face every play. That's the mentality, not just of Marshawn, but of this team. They're gonna keep coming. And Jordan McGee told me something last week, man, that I found to be not to stray, but it's in context to this. He told me something that just it resonates, man, and I still remember it. It's probably my quote of camp so far. I was interviewing him, talking to him about learning from Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu. Not too many young guys get a chance to learn from a first ballot Hall of Famer in the making, and then an ascending Pro Bowler. I said, but that was the day Vaughn was out, first day. And I'm like, now you got another Hall of Famer that can teach you some things coming off the edge, or how to blitz or whatever. And he was like, yeah. I said, what is it about Vaughn that you like coming here? And he said, this is a second-year player that hasn't done anything yet in the league. Said this about Vaughn. He said Vaughn fits the description of the type of players that we are here. He fits our culture here. He said, because he's a hunter. He said, and that's what we all are here. We're hunters. We're never going to be hunted. We do the hunting. I'm hearing that.
That's mind blowing.
And I'm like, damn, it really is different, man.
Yeah, mentality.
Yeah, that's the mentality. So, who fits that description to a T? Marshawn Lattimore. So I see him hunting this year against some of these receivers. And he knows what he put out last year wasn't up to his standard. And he's lost a lot of weight. Looks like he's 10, 15 pounds lighter. Moving around, no signs of any kind of hamstring injury or anything like that. And these D-backs, man, they're up on these receivers. They're pressing them, and it's only going to make them better for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just sitting here listening to you talk about this secondary, it's just like, who gets cut? Like, at this point, it's just like the depth all the way around the board is just crazy. Like, you bring in Jonathan Jones, you know what I'm saying? You bring in all of these people we brought in the offseason, then you draft Trey Amos. It's just like, who gets cut? Like, Noah he's out there flying around today, making plays. Like, you can't forget about him. He's like, I'm the fifth cornerback. Nah, I'm not going like that. So it's just like crazy.
Yeah, and remember, he's young too, so that's the thing. Noah's like, they can be 26 this year. So he's a young guy, and the one thing about this team is they, and I say this before we talk about Terry, but I don't think they really care about age if you're producing. But if you're younger and you're producing as much as the older person is, you guys already know how that is. Younger, cheaper. 4 years for that player. So you look at a guy like Noah, I think he might be on the outside. I really do, because they're just that deep. And then when you think of other people in the back end, Jeremy Reeves is your Pro Bowler, but they're trying to find ways to get him in reps, and he's flying around out there making some plays. And Jeremy's always played well. There was a time where I felt like when Ron Rivera was here that when they had Jeremy Reeves and Cam as their safeties, I thought that was a really nice tandem, and they decided to go different direction than having Jeremy be their starter. But Jeremy's proven that when given opportunity, not just on teams, of course, where he's a Pro Bowler, but just in general, that he can play. So it's a lot of people that the one thing that they have as a saving grace is that practice squad is so many people now. It's almost like if you don't make the 53, but you're put on the practice squad, you made the 53. That's the nature of the league now. So a lot of these guys who may not make the 53, I assure you, they're still going to be in burgundy and gold. They'll be on the practice squad.
Yeah, I was telling Z that Jeremy Reeves always made plays when he had to come in a pinch when somebody was injured on the back end. And I just always thought, like, why didn't he get more opportunities? He kind of wasn't a guy that really missed a lot of tackles from my eyes, or he wasn't in bad position. playing his techniques and things of that nature. So I just was always curious, like, why was he just like always put in that special teams role? But yeah, like you said, like
the thing
that,
and you know, yeah, it was some politics played. Let's just say some things that were said didn't get wasn't put into motion the way it was explained that it would be. So, and that's to take him off the hook because he's not going to tell you that, but he knows, and it's But anyway, they don't deal with that now. You know what you're told to be, you are, and the other thing that's great too about this coaching staff now is they don't put guys in positions to do things they can't do. You know, if you're a guy that's not the quickest dude, getting from spot A to spot B, they're not going to ask you to get to spot B. They're going to keep you on spot A, and they'll get somebody else to do that. And that's the beauty of this thing is that you see guys playing fast, you see guys playing free, where they don't have to overthink everything. How many times in years past, and not to keep going back to the past, but when you think about when guys look like robots out there, and their miscommunication and big up, and you see guys looking at each other like, you were supposed to be there, why weren't you there? You didn't see any of that stuff last year, not to that level. And they didn't have their team yet. This year's team is Dan Quinn's team. This is Adam Peters' team. These are the guys that they've wanted. Some of these younger guys like, Jordan McGee, Dominique Hampton, Jean-Baptiste, when you think of some of these players, these were guys that last year were being developed for this year. And now you're going to see that. Everyone talks about this is the oldest team in the league. It's because they have 4 players that boost that average up significantly.
Facts.
35. But if you take those 4 players, Vaughn, Bobby, Zach Ertz, you take those guys off the roster, and that thing plummets all the way down to they might be one of the 10 youngest teams in the league. So, let's not get that twisted up. Everything here is being done for a reason. There's a process.
Yeah. And my worry is that, with all this depth, like you were talking about on the back end, like some of these guys are going to make the practice squad. Like I'm scared that a lot of guys are going to get plucked off the practice squad because they have developed, or they may be a player that another team may look to come in and snatch. So that's one of my worries.
So what you're going to find out is somehow somebody had dislocated toe, or, they got a broken finger, or
the ankle.
I shouldn't be divulging all this, but
the ankle.
There's ways guys around, and so they don't get poached. All of a sudden somebody got a mysterious illness. That's just
that's how they roll. Hey, I gotta do what you gotta do.
Just think about it. Now that Washington's kind of in this kind of situation now, I've always said, man, if I was a bad team and Washington's not in that situation, they're a good team now. So if I'm a team that's looking around, and I'm going to look at a good team and see who's close to making their roster but didn't, and they put them on the practice squad, because I'm going to get that player. So now you got to be creative with how you do that, and that's the mastering of having a GM in place, having the proper coaching staff. I mean, there's ways you get around this so guys don't pluck your players. So you notice players that normally get plucked from really good teams are kind of like the older guys that get on the roster, get put on practice squad, get on the roster. So I'll give you a perfect example. If I'm a team around the league, I'm looking at Chris Rodriguez. I think he's a good back. I truly do. But Chris might get caught up in numbers this year. Simple as that, as far as the 53. But what they do is they'll put him on the practice squad, and they might move him up at a certain time like they did last year. And you need these guys as more like injury insurance for a guy that could get hurt, where you feel like this guy's just as good, just was on the edge of making the roster. Now we can bring him up and not miss a beat.
Yeah, definitely. And because when we were having that conversation, it was centered around Ja'Cory Brooks. This offseason, after leaving the draft, I fell in love with both Ja'Corys just looking at their tapes. So I've been all off season just praising both of them, and then to get to camp and kind of, both of them being like the highlight, but and specifically Ja'Cory Brooks, it's like undrafted guy, Terry not being there, he's able to get more reps. First day, they talking about how he had such a great day, 2 touchdowns. And it was all this excitement behind him, and he's still getting a good buzz around camp. And I think that he could potentially make, shake some things up in that wide receiver room. But also it's like, hey, if he goes to the practice squad, that was one of the conversations we was having, like, well, do he get plucked? Stuff like that. So
try to pluck him, and that's why
for sure.
But see, I think that those are the good problems the good teams have, because if he's that kind of buzz and that kind of noise, you find a way to put him on the roster.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to say it right now. I think he's making the roster. I know for a fact Jayden likes him quite a bit, and he looks for him. And when Jayden's that kind of guy, he processes things real quick. If he knows he can count on you and he knows you're going to be where you're supposed to be, he's going to get you the ball. And for him to be looking at an undrafted rookie consistently, especially in their red zone drills, Jacory had, a couple he dropped, but he's also made plays.
Yesterday, yeah, I've seen that.
So he's making plays, though, and the fact that they keep coming back to him is showing that they're starting to see something with him. Jaylin Lane, another guy, every time he gets the ball, something's happening. He had a hell of a catch yesterday in the back of the end zone. And when he caught it and he kept his feet in, everybody ran down to congratulate him. Hell, even some defensive players. It was just a great catch. And it was also one of those moments for a rookie to show, yeah, I'm here. And I'm wrong. That was his moment where people were like, damn, not too many people make that catch.
Yeah.
No one talks about the fact that the ball was put in the area where only one person.
Only him.
Not to stray, but man, because you could talk about number 5 all day. But if that guy's not a top 5 quarterback, I'm in the wrong profession doing what I do.
Thanks.
Yeah. So I noticed we're a little bit. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but I kind of always want to think about the numbers, right? So I'm thinking about this wide receiver room. So we're just going to say Terry's going to get re-signed. So I got Terry, Debo, probably Noah Brown. Then what happens with Luke McCaffrey, and then you're saying Jacory Brooks is possibly going to make this team on the back end of the roster. So I'm thinking they're going to keep 6, maybe 7. So like where's the pecking order in your eyes in between?
Okay, great question. So right now, I think the pecking order of the room, as far as numbers and all that, Terry 1, Debo 2, which are 1 and 1. Let's just make sure we do understand that. Terry 1, Debo 2, Noah Brown 3, Jaylin Lane 4, Luke McCaffrey 5, Jacory Brooks 6. That's what I'm doing.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I know Michael Gallup's in the building. Chris Moore's had good opportunity. The kid Strachan has made some plays, and he's a bigger receiver. But I think those are guys that you can keep on your practice squad. And in a pinch, if they come up for one of the other, first 6 we talked about, you can do that. But I think Jacory Brooks has really kind of separated himself a little bit as far as just the opportunities, and he's making the most of them. Now, obviously, these are practices against guys you're familiar with by this time. Because remember, they've been going at this all, OTAs and camps, mini camp. But if he, let's just say he has a one of those preseasons where he's making plays out there, you can't keep him off the roster. You can't, because, like we talked about, other scouts are looking at that, and they might say, "Nah, you're not getting us with that one." He might have a whooping cough, but we're still taking them. So, you just if a guy's showing out like that and he's young and he's cheap and he's an undrafted free agent, yeah, you got to keep him. But that also goes to show you what having a competent front office looks like. That they can, really gauge talent that, like Trey Amos is a perfect example. I had Trey Amos as a first-round grade, and Adam Peters and them did too. A lot of people did. For him to be sitting there in the second round and they didn't even waste time making that pick, that goes to show you that, they said like 3 of their first picks, Jaylin Lane, they had him as a 3rd rounder, and he was sitting there for them, in the 4th round. So that's what I'm saying, man. These guys do their homework. They know what they're doing, and they'll find ways to get their draft picks on the field for sure. And that's how you turn over a team to be a young football team.
So talk a little bit about this offensive line. I feel like you mentioned before in the beginning of the show, we did everything to kind of be able to battle Philadelphia up front, as it relates to the defensive line as well as the offensive line. But speak about the offensive line and like what you're seeing with Laramie Tunsil and that esprit de corps and that camaraderie that they're building on the line. I was on record saying that I didn't really think Allegretti was like a starter in this league, but with Sam Cosmi being out, like where do you see that right guard position going?
Yeah, I think they're gonna go with Nick first. I'm a big Trent Scott fan, and I thought Trent was adequate filling in for Sam last year once Sam went down. Trent played really well. And again, he's a versatile guy that can play tackle. He can swing over there or he can play guard. But I think with Nick, Nick is a guard, and I think that for right now they might try to have him hold the fort down, or you might have it by committee, depending on if Nick's not playing well in the game, then Trent can come in and vice versa. So it's kind of similar to what they did with Cornelius Lucas and Brandon Coleman at one point. Just because, like I said, you started the game doesn't mean you're going to finish the game or get more reps than the guys that's behind you. And so I think at that right guard spot, those two guys are going to be interchangeable depending on the matchups until Sam comes back. And the good part about it is Sam is so far ahead of schedule and not like hiding anything where it's like, he's ahead of schedule, but is he really ready? No. The guy looks phenomenal right now. He's in shape. The best shape I've ever seen Sam in is right now. And, we can't really talk about what we see on the auxiliary field with injured players rehabbing, but I can assure Commanders Nation that the guy looks really good. And so much so that Dan Quinn said to us the other day that, he'll be on the PUP list, obviously, to start, but just for 4 weeks. And they were saying that, he's going to be cleared. He's already been cleared. So the thing is that realistically, you're probably going to see Sam Cosmi by week 5 or 6. And that's amazing. So if Nick and Trent can hold it down until then, man, just think, if Sam can come back and he's going to come back healthy and ready to play, that offensive line has the potential to be a top 5 offensive line this year.
Yeah, and I forget who mentioned it the other day. I was watching it on one of the shows, but they mentioned how like with Cosmi, like when you get hurt, you get in surgery so quick, and like literally every day since January, February, he's been putting in work. And that's one of the things that the untold stories about a lot of guys were hurt. It's a daily, when they get injured, it's a daily grind, like major surgeries. It's a daily grind to rehab to get back. So like he's ready. He's top shape. So
yes,
when Dan said that, it was like, whoa, and initially, but as you do your deeper research and kind of listen and see what's going on, like, wow, this is something that's great.
It's crazy because when originally when Dan said that, we were I literally was like, because I'm writing something as the conference is going on, might be tweeting some stuff out he's saying, and I was like, nah, I didn't hear that right. So we're out on the practice field, because he talks to us before practice. So we're on the practice field, and I'm talking with David Aldridge, another city boy, by the way. So David talking, and he's like, he said, did Dan say what he said? Like, and I said, man, I was thinking the same thing. Like, he said he could be ready by week 1.
Yeah.
JP, and I'm talking to JP, and JP said, nah, he didn't say that. There's no way. He said the dude got hurt against Detroit. And I said, I'm telling you, man, I know that's what he said. So the next morning, David.
Yeah, I was listening in.
Did you say
that?
Like, yeah, but he cleaned it up and said he'll be on PUP, whatever. But that's 4 weeks, man. And to me, I was sitting there just less than a month ago saying to fans, if they're in playoff contention late in the year, you may not even play Sam this year. That was what I'm thinking, because I'm thinking there's no way a man of that size is going to be ready to play this kind of football and be in them trenches like that. I was wrong, man. And kudos to Sam Cosmi, because he stunned everybody. This guy has put the work in, and you know what it is, man. When you plan for something now, you know what I mean. He's already secured his bag. You know, last year he got that, but or 2 years ago. No, it was last year. It was last year.
Yeah.
You know, he knows now. This is a Super Bowl team, man. This is a team that's trying to get to the big show. So I want to be part of that. So that may have feel that even harder working out every day, as you said, Z. Just, you know, there's something there. You know how you put that picture up on the locker so that gives you some motivation? Well, that's what he had in his mind was, you know, I wasn't there, man, against Philadelphia in that NFC Championship game. I want to experience that, you know. Now I want to experience going to the Super Bowl. So that may have been what's fueled him and his own personal pride too, you know. So yeah, man, he looks really good, and everybody's happy for him. Sam's a good dude.
Yeah, I was doing the same thing when the press conference was live. I'm sitting there listening, and I'm like, I know he didn't say he was gonna be ready week 1. So I text Z, I'm like, yeah, they said Sam's gonna be back week 1.
He texted me ASAP.
He's like I was reporting, like I was JP or you or somebody tweeting it live. Like he was like, nah, I don't think he's gonna be back, because they were saying like week 9, week 10, and then now he's, you know, yeah. So it's crazy.
Body, man, if he plays, it's gonna be right before the playoffs, man. Go you, but I will say this, man, their nutrition staff, the trainers, man, when I say it's first class, top notch. The Noah Brown situation, perfect example, man. You know, the man was carted off, you know, through his helmet. It was like, damn, man, he tore his ACL. That's what literally it was like. Okay, he tore his ACL. They're not trying to tell us, you know, they don't put out one thing. They don't do, they don't leak anything. And secondly, they tell us if anyone gets hurt on this field, you cannot tweet it, you can't talk about it. That was one where it was like, there's nothing to talk about. He's hurt and he's done for the year. You can tell.
Right.
And every day we couldn't get anything. It was like, you know, he's being evaluated. I'm like, look, man, how many times are you gonna be evaluated? Like, what's the deal? And the next thing you know, here he is. And I was about to be DC. I was about to say this Bama runs out, you know. So he runs out, and I'm like, are you kidding me? No brace, no nothing. This guy been practicing every day since camp started. No brace, no nothing. Making play. That just goes to show you that the you know, the medical staff is, these guys aren't getting hurt, man. You know, knock on wood, because you don't want to see anything like that happen. But it's different from the days of guys just not practicing, soft tissue or finger sprain. They don't practice. Nah, these guys are practicing, and they're physical when they practice. So it's good to see, man.
Yeah, I was, you know, when it happened, I was like, you know, trying to report from Instagram. I'm looking at his story on Instagram. I'm like, no, Brown, he don't have a limp or anything like that. There's nothing wrong with him. He's not injured. I'm telling the guys on our collaboration show, the Burgundy Breakdown. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, Noah Brown's not injured. He's not hurt. They're not saying nothing because they don't have to tell us right now. But I don't think he's injured. And then when he came out and was basically saying like he's going to be, you know, they're going to keep an eye on him and stuff like that, I thought, okay, maybe he might be hurt. Then when I seen him on the grass, I was like, no limp, no nothing. I'm like, okay, well, he looks like he's ready to play.
Yeah, and then remember when you said something about like listen to the music, like he's not playing like no sorrow music, like he's not unhappy, like it's kind of upbeat. So yeah, I don't think he really hurt. I'm like,
because most of the times when they're hurt, they start putting these quotes and all this other stuff, this sorrow stuff or whatever. I'm gonna come back better than ever. It was none of that.
That's very astute, bro. Because I'm gonna tell you the same thing. I saw it and I was like, man, this fool ain't hurt, man. Like seriously. And then the other thing is they didn't put him on any inactive list. Yeah. You know, let's face it, if a guy is even slightly injured, you're not going to practice, they're not going to put you in harm's way. He's out there from day one. And I mean, no brace. So I'm just like, yeah, you know, it probably was a sprain or something, you know, but the fact that he's out there, you know, it just goes to show you, man, like when they talk about like competition and they want competitive alpha guys that all they want to do is play football. That's a, you know, Sam, Noah, that's a testament to that. You know, today early in practice, a couple guys that I saw them walking, you know, well, can't really say it. You know, although fans were there, you guys were there the other day, you could see who's doing what. But
Right.
let's say there were 2 or 3 guys that were getting attended to. And from all accounts, everyone's okay, you know, and that's my point. Like the practices are so well orchestrated and so well put together. They try to get the physicality part in there, but they try to do it in a way where guys aren't hurt. And you heard Dan say that early this morning, you know, with pads and stuff on. You know, it's the essence of our sport, you know. He said, but it also shows the respect for your teammates too, as far as teaching hitting the right way and things like that. So they want to get the physical aspect in, but not get it in where anybody's in harm's way. And it seems like for 2 years now, it's worked really well for them.
Yeah, and that's one thing I noticed when I was out there today. You know, by it being the first damn pass, normally the first damn pass, you're looking to run through somebody, but it's like it was a slight thud, and then you know they stayed on their feet, nobody went to the ground. So I was like, but that's big, you know what I'm saying, to prevent those injuries. So that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, that thing is, you know, you don't beat up on yourself, man, and not be able to be in true battle when it's time for it. So, you know, and these guys have so much love for each other. That's the other thing. Like, there's no like malcontents and divas all over the place where they're just, you know, what about me? I should be doing this and he shouldn't. It's none of that, man. I mean, these guys are really a tight-knit group, and you know, as they say, you know, with that brotherhood, that's a word that gets tossed around an awful lot. And it's real, you know, it really is brotherhood, and they make sure that they look out for each other. And hence why you saw the results that you saw last year and what we're all expecting for this year.
Yeah. All right. So look, with 48 minutes in, we can't continue to go any further without talking about our guy. So he shows up to camp. He ends the holdout, does a hold in. A lot of people saying, you know, he's tired of getting them fines. A lot of people saying that, you know, a deal is on the way. And I'm just hoping, like in my head the night before, I'm just like, man, if Terry signs tonight and walk out of that building tomorrow with all them fans in there, camp is going to go crazy. We get a little tease of that by saying, okay, he's here. He still end up coming out later and, you know, shows love to the fans, stand-up guy for Terry. But, like, where are we? Like, I mean, for what you can tell us, like, where do you think we are today? The rumor come out that he's saying he ain't taking nothing less than, well, let me rephrase that. Adam Schefter said he thinks Terry McLaurin doesn't want anything less than $33 million. And that was kind of like the notion that I've been going with all season. Like, DK is at 33. All right, pay him around there, and like 33, 35. Let's get it over with. What we gonna do?
I said that 2 weeks ago, man. Like that number for Terry and his folks is 32 to 34, and it's based on where you look at some of the number 2 receivers that signed on for like 27, 28. You look at T. Higgins. You look at Jalen Waddle. You look at Devonta Smith. They're considered to be number 2s on their respective teams. You know, Miami, Philadelphia, you know, and Cincinnati. But then you look at the next wave of guys as number 1s, the CeeDee Lambs of the world, the DK Metcalfs of the world. And you look at their AJ Brown, you look at their contracts, and the one guy that stands out amongst all of those guys, you know, obviously Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and those guys, Amon St. Brown, is DK Metcalf. And DK Metcalf is making almost $33 million, you know, 32.5 to be exact. And he has not had, you know, the same career that Terry has had with far more superior quarterback. DK's with 2 Pro Bowl quarterbacks and Russell Wilson and Geno Smith. Yes, he's a Pro Bowler. So Terry hasn't had that until last year. So for everybody that always tells me, oh, man, you killing Terry right now, man. And I'm like, no, I'm not killing Terry. I think they need to get Terry signed. No Terry, no Super Bowl. I'm saying that. Mm-hmm. But I'm also aware of the age. DK Metcalf and Terry in the same draft class. but DK is almost 3 years younger than Terry. So you saw today, you saw your boy out in Cortland Sutherland out in Denver got broke off. These are younger guys, and Terry's numbers do match or exceed some of these younger guys. So I've been saying 30 million gets this thing done, where Terry gets a little less than maybe what they want, but in fairness to the team, and yes, and I have, you guys know me, you've known me for a while. My style is I'm all about the players. I always look out. But this is the first time this franchise is done right by me too, and by us in the media, and it's first class, man. You know, so I can't come on here and hang Adam out, and that's my dude, man. I can't not doing what they're supposed to do. The same day Terry shows up, they putting Santana Moss's jersey up there. You know what I'm saying? His name, you know, in the Ring of Honor. A couple days before that, they showing up at Art Monk's house. You know? So I'm just saying, man, like, there has to be some give and take here. And I keep saying to people, Terry has to understand the situation. Like, you're breaking your contract yet again. This is the second time in 2 years, man. And it's not to throw him under the bus. It's just saying that they have other fish to fry too, you know, and they're getting ready to have the biggest contract in the next 2 years. When Jayden's eligible, we're talking about an NFL record-breaking contract that's going to be on the horizon. We saw it with Patrick Mahomes. We saw it with Lamar Jackson. Next up is Jayden, and they have to account for that stuff. And then you have to account for that's 2 to 3 years later. By that time, Terry will be going on 32, 33 years old. So I'm not here to take any money out of a man's, you know, house. That's not my style. But I do, like I said, I have a job to do. And I'm saying to Terry, bro, where are you going to get a better situation than where you are right here? You know, so if you get offered 30, but you wanted 32, man, you win a Super Bowl, you're going to make up that $2 million in endorsements and never having to pay for food in town again because you got a Super Bowl under your belt. This town will go crazy. They already love you. So there's got to be some give and take here. So where we are right now is I think that's what's going on here. The team is holding their stance, and Terry's folks is holding their stance. The only problem I have with Terry in this whole situation, I don't like the optics of standing out on that field after practice with your agent. I don't like that optic at all because it's not needed, man. You know what I'm saying? It looks very standoffish, you know, and that's not Terry. And then he goes to the fans because that's who he is. He's first class dude, loves the fan base. The fan base loves him. But when your agent is right there the whole time and you're out there on the auxiliary field talking to your agent for like 20 minutes before you go to the fan.
20 minutes.
I'm sorry, fellas. I mean,
20 minutes.
It's been killing me today. Like, man, you hating on Terry. Terry, my dude, man. You guys look at my show. You see the intro. That's me and Terry. You know, that's my dude. But I would kindly say to Terry, if I like he was out there today, we couldn't really speak to him like that. But I wanted to pull Terry aside and be like, Terry, man, you got mad love here in D.C. This town loves you. They adore you. And this football team loves you and adores you. And so does Adam Peters and Dan Quinn. And I know people saying, well, if they did, they'll pay them. It's not that easy, man. This is the business side of stuff, you know, and they have to think they have a football team to run. Remember, everybody was saying, man, why can't we have a GM? Why can't we have a competent GM?
Yeah.
But you got one now, and now you're ready to throw him out with the bathwater because he's not breaking off your favorite player. That's not the situation, man. This deal's gonna get done. It's inevitable that it's gonna get done. Terry's gonna be here. It's gonna be fine, but you have to find a common ground here, and I think both sides have to do that. I think Washington. I think the front office is willing to give a little bit more than maybe they want. But I don't think they're gonna. I don't think Terry's gonna get 32 to 34 in that range, or definitely not more than that. But I don't think he's gonna get the 32. That's a high number, man. It really is to kick in 2 years. So keep in mind that contract don't start tonight. If he signed a contract, that's in 2 years, which means he'll be days from turning 32 when that contract kicks in. And I know people get tired of me talking about the age, but that's the leverage side of things. You know, all these young guys that are signing these contracts now, their contracts don't kick in for another year or two. When those contracts kick in, they're going to be 25, 26 years old, not 32. That's a big difference, guys. And I think that that's what's going on right now. Not that I know that's what's going on.
Yeah, that's what I was saying the whole time, man, because we got to, you know, we all want Terry to be re-signed here, but I feel like you gotta think about Laramie Tunsil. If he has a good year, what happens with Debo? You know, Oos is going to be up for a contract pretty soon. Then you gotta sign 5. So you gotta prepare. Yeah, Lattimore, if he gets back to that Pro Bowl form, like it's a lot of decisions that have to be made in this upcoming offseason about these players that are on his roster. And if we go as far as we think we're going to go, then you know, I would want to bring some of them back. You know what I'm saying? Some of these players back if they have great years. So that's what I've been saying all the time. But you know, the fans been calling all day. We were in the stands and they were saying Buddy Baker being out there, they need to fire him. He needs to fire him and go get Drew Rosenhaus and athletes first and all of them.
Hey, bro, like, you know, y'all know me. I try to be forthright and honest. And I said it. I said it today. You guys gonna see on my stand-up that post later, you know. I was on Fox today, Chad Ricardo, and I said it. And he's like, I love your candidness. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be a pot stirrer. You know, if there's anything about me, I hate negative publicity. I hate having to speak on this team in a negative light. And we haven't had to do it over the last 2 years. And now this is becoming a joke. It's becoming a side story that I don't want to go back to this stuff anymore. You know, I lived this for so long, and then, you know, the new group comes in and they're doing everything and attempting to do everything right. They're trying to peel off Band-Aids and put real lotion on, you know, real ointment, just, you know, to heal these wounds. And then all of a sudden, the last remaining guy from the previous regimes is allowing his agent to pull a stunt like this. And I'm saying it. I don't like it. I don't like it for Terry. I want Terry here in the worst way because he's a great kid. He's a really stand-up guy. He's everything you want from a culture standpoint. He fits the blueprint of everything you want for a Washington Commanders player and person off the field too. The community loves him. But he's listening to his agent right now. And I don't personally, I just don't think his agent's giving the best advice. I don't. And some fans are starting to sour to it, frankly. Not so much Terry, but like I said, the optics of you standing there for 20 minutes, like the last 2 days, talking to your agent. What the hell can y'all be talking about that's so secretive for 20 minutes out there that you can't talk about over the phone or at home before he comes out there?
That you haven't already talked about.
Just come on out and just go right to the fans. Sign your stuff. Right. You want to do. Personally, I'd like to see Terry standing on the sidelines with his teammates.
Right.
Why isn't he out there? Like, you know, last year, Ayuk was at the goal post.
You already
watching.
Yeah, you already know. It's because the agent's giving them different advice. And
stepping in the huddle and all that. Like, what we doing?
So when I seen Buddy Baker out there, I thought like maybe he was having talks with Lance Mark or Adam Peters, and he was coming back to report something to Terry. But then now it's starting to feel like it's just a ploy.
That's what it is, man. And again, y'all, I'm trying to tell you, man, you go through my message stuff. There's some fans hot. I had a dude yesterday tell me Lake's fake. I'm like, damn, like I'm you gonna turn on me like that? You know, like all I'm reporting what's literally there. I put the video up of him talking to his dude. I only put the video up for 11, 12 seconds. I didn't have time to stand there for 20 minutes to record the same thing 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
You don't see no agents out there ever, man. Like if they are, they might have their little lanyard on off to the side somewhere, and they just came out to support their client that day. You don't see them the next day. 2 straight days. And I'm going to say this. you'll show the first. I'm saying this. The team did this for Terry, man, putting him on the pup, so that you don't get accrue fines. The team's looking out for you. But when you go out and yesterday you say to the fans, my beef isn't with you, what? Like, I was taken aback by that. I didn't like it. I did not like that, because it's showing, okay, you might feel disrespected. You might feel like they don't value you. I know, B Mitch, that's my dude, that's fam, Santana. They players, man. They're gonna always say, well, the player should be able to speak his mind. I get it. But I also think a player has enough power to tell his agent, look, this might not be my look, man. Because I've never heard any fans ever speak badly about Terry, as they shouldn't. But now a lot of them, as you said, Reedie, they speaking bad about his agent. Because some fans are like, why are we doing this? Like, so the same time he's standing there today doing that, Adam Peters is signing autographs right there on the other side. And I'm like, I gotta talk about this. It's not good, man. So that's where we are, man.
That gotta be some fun. I mean, like fun drama type stuff though, like, because it's funny, it's love, it's still love, the family working out the kinks type stuff, but it still got to be dope to kind of be around and see for sure. But man, wow.
Yeah, it's I wish I didn't have to see this unfolding.
Yeah.
And like I keep saying, where you gonna get a better situation, man? You're adored by the fan base. You got one of them at quarterback now, and this is a team that people really are watching. You got all these primetime games you're playing. And we're going to Madrid this year. I mean, like, all these good things are coming. The league is bringing the draft here. You got a stadium coming up in 5 years. Where are you going to get a better setup than this? You're not, and now you got a weapon on the other side of you. You never had that. You never had somebody that other defenses now are going to have to account for at all times.
Mm-hmm.
Man, take your money. I get it, but sometimes you don't need all of that money. And I know there are people out there that hate when I say that, because they're like, man, you messing with a man's money. I'm talking as a normal person that, if I'm making, 15, million this year, and somebody's going to give me a contract that's not doubling it, so to speak, but close to it, and somebody's saying we'll give you 28, 29, and what's the difference between that and 31, 32, man, or 33, when you can still be the prince of the town, and now you're playing for a contender? If you win, you get more money, and if you win, the money that you didn't get over here, you're going to recoup that in endorsements. You're going to recoup that and not having to ever pay for a hot meal in town if you got a Super Bowl ring. That's just how it goes, man. So that's if I was the agent, I'd be telling them that.
Yeah.
Man, you got better stats than DK and all that. There's so many variables to all that. You can't just make a blanket statement like that, because then somebody's going to say, well, DK's 3 years younger. That's what people are going to say. People are going to always find a reason to say, well, this is why this person's paid and this is why this person's not. I think as an agent, I would understand that Washington's in such a unique situation with what they're getting ready to have to do with Jayden, that sometimes you got to be smart about this, man. And, so not to take shots on his agent. I don't know his agent. So I know a lot of agents, but I don't know Terry's agent. I'll say that. Haven't really dealt with him. But I do, come to find out that's like Ace Bailey's agent, and you guys, y'all from DC, y'all, remember Ace Bailey was supposed to be a Wizard, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's in Utah, and he did not want to go to Utah. Let's just be upfront about that. So again, you don't work out for teams. You still get drafted by a team that you didn't work out for. I'm just saying, man. I'm starting to really wonder about that. I don't take shots at people, and I'm not trying to, but I think he's getting some bad advice.
So most people think this is going to be a 3-year extension because he has a 1 year remaining for this year and then a 3-year extension. Do you think Terry signs maybe a 2-year extension? I was posing that question to some people earlier, and they was like he would feel disrespected on taking, less term. Is it do you think it's like term, or is it just the money itself that those $2-3 million, that he may or may not want to pay him?
The way it's looking is it might be both, man. That's the thing. It's looking like it might be the money and the term. And let's face it, this is his last major contract. Yeah. So of course he wants term. Of course he wants to be able to ride this out as long as possible. I would say I've said this so many times. If I'm Washington, I go up a little bit more. Okay, I might say, look, 3 years, 90 million, 70 of that's guaranteed. If you Terry and you don't take that, I don't know too many fans that would say, okay, they did him dirty. I mean, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money that technically did not need to be accounted for. Think about it, because he's still under contract. Right. So that's a lot of money for a player that's still under contract. That now, okay, you've met his demands, but this is what we're offering, and this is our final offer, and it's a lot of money. You got to take it or leave it, because we still got a team we got to put together still. Okay, would you guys feel okay with a 3-year, $90 million deal with
absolutely
70 guaranteed? Yeah.
And if
absolutely,
he said, what? that's where I'm going, man.
But I kind of like the idea of the shorter term deal as an athlete, because if you go out and you prove it, then they got to pay you more. You know what I'm saying? You may not get that contract that you want, but then you're always up in a couple of years for another contract. I will nickel and dime and do the 1 to 2 year contracts. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, this is the last time he's going to get a major contract, but I wouldn't mind that if I was a player.
So this is the thing that I want you guys to keep in mind. What you said makes perfect sense, but the difference is a player that's getting up in age, you're not giving another massive contract after this. You're not. Yeah. That's Terry's folks' stance, clearly, and that makes sense. That's good agent stuff there. That makes sense. But this is the thing. There's something called a franchise tag that would alleviate all this instantly. But that franchise tag means you got to pay him as a top 5 at his position.
Hey, making 30 something anyway.
You haven't seen that franchise tag placed on anybody. That tells you right there. Okay. You can't make top 5 money. That's just they're not doing that. And I don't think it's so much saying to Terry, we don't think you're capable of being a top 5 receiver. Because last year, with his first year with Jayden, he looked like a top 5 receiver to me. He looked like the number 4 best receiver in the league to me last year. But that's 1 year. You're still under contract. You could prove it 1 more year, and then they break you off next year. I'm pretty sure that was the thought process in the building, that's what they were hoping was going to happen. Terry, go out this year. Let's get to the Super Bowl, man, and you be a big part of it again as you were last year. And we pay you now to be a Commander for life. You get a 3-4 year deal, which will take you up to 35, 36, and then that you retire afterwards, whatever. That's not how this is playing out. Now it's like, no, I need this money now, but I'm still under contract, but I need this money now, and I want this. I want a certain bracket. And I agree with Adam on this, and I reported it last week. Like I said, it's the 32 to 34 range, man, that gets it done on his camp. There's no way they're going to pay that. They're just not. Yeah, I'm sorry to be like that.
It's deep.
I'm not the end all be it all. I know that.
Correct.
Connections, this insider, I get it, but I've been wrong before, and I'd love to be wrong on this. I'd love to walk out to the practice field tomorrow, and they're saying, Lake, they signed them. Okay, how much? 34. I might be like, whoa, but it's done. Good. Let's go. Let's play football now.
Let's move forward.
That's all I care about at the end of the day. Pay that man his money, and let's play football. But let's be smart about what you're paying him too. And if you're Terry, let's be smart about what you ask him for as well. Because it takes 2 sides to tangle. You guys know that. It can be a one-man gang. And I just don't want to have this ill will continue because it doesn't look good. You know, you're trying to get paid by an organization that you love the fan base and the fan base loves you. Well, don't speak badly about your organization then. Even if you don't like what's going on, you said what you said at Eastern Motors. Now let that be it. Because now when you stand out there by yourself, you guys were there, you saw that. I'm asking you, was your thought that's not a good look? Like what's going on here?
So when I saw the agent on the field, I was kind of taken back by that. But I did find it kind of weird that he didn't come out until after the practice was over. I thought he would be maybe on the sideline or something like that. But then when he did come out, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, maybe this is like some type of PR thing where they didn't want him to, come out to cause a distraction or something like that. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I was standing there. I'm standing there recording because I'm like, oh shit, Terry on the field. I go over there. I'm calling Reedie, like, come on over here. I'm standing there recording because I'm just waiting for him to turn around, walk back, do something. And like you said, 20 minutes. And I'm literally like got about 5 minutes of video on my phone. He's just standing there. I'm had to delete it. I'm like, who? I didn't even know it was Buddy Baker. I'm like, who is he talking to?
Yeah, I have people in my message thing saying, "Oh man, he's still talking to Josh Harris today." Josh, that's his agent. And this day when I saw it, I was like, "Oh no, it's not
again." Yeah.
Yesterday it was done. Boom, it's over. And then it's today. So you clearly know what I'm looking for tomorrow. If it happens tomorrow, that is a statement. Make no mistake about it. It is a statement that these fans love me. I'm here for the fans. I'm not coming out during practice because I'm not part of this team right now, but yet he is. That brotherhood is strong. Them guys love him. So that's what I am, man. Just I get it. Your agent's telling you to do that, but man, be on them sidelines with your teammates, man. You don't even have to be dressed. You can't be dressed right now. I get it. But I think everybody and their mother knows when Coach said that the ankle injury that happened last year. Hey man, come on now. I didn't see this joker in OTAs. Come on, man.
He ran down down to see the people and ran back up like ankles.
Come on, man.
When DQ said that, I was like, come on, DQ, man. I could have came up with something else.
Yeah, he's like, he had an ankle injury at the end of last year. And I'm like, that's the first blatant lie, DQ, you ever said.
Right. But see, that's them looking out for him too.
Yeah.
Trying, man. They trying. And I know Terry said today, I'm taking it day by day. We're doing it day by day. And I just wanted to say, well, let's not make this a day by day thing. You out here with your agent. If you want to come out here and sign autographs, great, man. They got security. They're going to bring you out here. But the agent, and for y'all to stand there and talk, oh my gosh, bro. I mean, I could be totally wrong about this, but I know what my eyes see does not look appealing, as a media person. And I know fans have already told me, I don't like what I'm seeing. What's that all about? And I'm like, okay, it's not just me that sees this as a bad. Yeah.
So like, did you feel, because like when I seen the video, he was like day by day, his tenor and his voice wasn't his normal self. I kind of feel like he was trying to give like, I'm pissed off. Did you feel that when you were there in the scrum?
He hasn't smiled at us. Terry's the guy that how many times did y'all see my reports last year? And I'm like, the dude can't stop smiling. He's teasing because of the success that they're having and what he's having. He's having fun. And now it's like, this is serious Terry. I don't like serious Terry because I've never had to deal with serious Terry. I've always dealt with a really likable, personable, first class, and he is. That's who he is. We know that. But he's listening to his agent because that's what he feels like he should be doing, and that's fairness to him. But I don't think his agent is. I'm sorry, man. I can't. I'm trying to find ways to say, okay, I understand what the agent's doing. I don't. I just don't. I don't get it. If you tried it the first day, which I didn't like then, okay, it happened. He's here. Fans are excited that they're trying to work something out. But then today I even asked the question, is he doing this to look bad to get traded? Like, it went through my mind. Like, come on, he can't be doing that. Because there's only one or two places, maybe three places that would I don't want to say ease the blow if he were to get traded or if he ended up somewhere. And I'm talking about from a Terry standpoint. That'd be playing for Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, playing for Josh Allen in Buffalo, playing for Lamar in Baltimore, where they've never really had like these type of receivers. Zay Flowers is good, Keon Coleman's okay, Patrick Mahomes, Rashee Rice, and Worthy, they're okay. I get it, but this the thing. Those three quarterbacks I just named, they're Super Bowl quarterbacks. Well, Josh Allen and Lamar, we think are. They haven't been there yet, but their teams are always Super Bowl contenders. Patrick's, we know about Kansas City, but none of those teams have great receivers. And there's a reason for that, because those quarterbacks are so good, they can make people look better. Okay. I know where I'm going with that. If I'm Terry, you have to take those things under consideration. Do you want to go to another team and have your bag, but that team's terrible? Is that what this is? Do you want to be the richest player on a sorry team? Or do you want to be a very well-compensated player for a Super Bowl contender in a rabid fan base town? I mean, come on, man. So those are the questions that are going to start being asked right now. And Terry keeps saying that he loves the fans. We know he does. But if you love the fans, then you're going to have to try to find a way to make it work to be in Washington. You know what I'm saying? That's showing how you love the fans, in my opinion. So that's just me.
Yeah. Man, deep. It's deep. You got anything else, Reedie?
No, I don't have anything per se. You got anything? Any other questions?
Nah. I say end it like that. Like we say the best for last. It was a lot of info, good insight. I say, yeah we got to sleep on this.
It's gonna get done. I truly believe it's gonna get done. You guys know I reported last week, Terry. I feel very confident that Terry's gonna come out there on Sunday. You guys remember I said that?
Yeah, said this week.
He came out there. So I just, again, now though, there's a little bit more work to be done on both sides, to get this thing to come to fruition. And I think it will get done. I've said this, I think before we head to New England, for joint practices and then the game, I think it'll be done around then. You don't want this to drag out too long. You really don't.
Yeah.
Because it's just becoming a national talking point. And it's not, you don't even hear anything about Jayden now. You don't hear anything about the Super Bowl contending team. It's Terry McLaurin going to be there. Is Terry McLaurin going to get signed? And that's just the kind of distraction that the guys aren't going to say it's a distraction, but believe me, it's a distraction. It absolutely is a distraction. Yeah. You just want to play football and get 17 on the field so him and Debo can start chopping it up and chopping up defenses.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Bobby Wagner looked at the camera and says, "It's the business, and it ain't my business." Like and he looked at his face, and you can tell he like stop asking me. You know what I mean?
Guys are tired about it. They're tired of hearing it. They're gonna support Terry as players. That's just the way you do it. But I don't think any ill will or anything negative is looked at Terry.
Correct.
I'm trying to tell fans, I'm not mad at Terry. Obviously, he's listening to his agent. I'm just saying that what his agent is doing, that's not Terry McLaurin. That's not how anybody knew Terry to be. So Terry's showing, obviously, he's got a backbone. He's showing that. But how much of that backbone needs to be shown? That's all I'm saying, man. Let's be smart about this now and not create any ill will. Because, as men, let's be honest here, man. You can forgive people, but sometimes you don't forget. You have to forget. Yep. And I don't want this to be one of them situations where you spoke ill will towards your organization. And there's some good men right there, man. So I know you know that had to have stung Adam a little bit. Come on, man. As a human, that probably stung him to think that Terry thinks he disrespects him. That's tough, man. That's tough talk there. And now if you're Terry, you got to live with that, So that's all I'm saying. I've said this a long time. I've worked with a lot of athletes as far as media training and what not to say and what to say. that's just that side of me right now. It's like, man, what in the world?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, that's it. That's it. Hopefully tomorrow I don't have to talk about this anymore because it's
exactly.
Everybody's asking me. So man, you think Terry not gonna sign? I'm like, Terry's gonna sign, but it's just when we don't. None of us know now because we know that money, they're not on the same page right now.
Yeah, man, definitely. But man, thank you for everybody out there. Please make sure you guys like, share, subscribe at Reedie Zee on all platforms. Also, make sure y'all tap into Lake Lewis Jr. At Lake Lewis Jr. on all platforms as well. Lake, like we started the show, we greatly appreciate you. The love for showing us love coming on. Had a wonderful show today. Definitely looking forward to continue to connecting with you. We're gonna be at camp tomorrow. We're gonna be there as much as we can. So we definitely gonna see you. We're gonna holler at you and stuff like that. But we greatly appreciate you for coming on. It was a pleasure.
All right, look, man. Tomorrow, get at me because I want to get a picture with you guys too, man.
Okay.
Yeah, bet. Let's do it.
Having me come on, man, and it's been a long time coming. Love your show, man. You guys got a good one. So
thank you.
Keep that thing going. Anything you need from me, just let me know.
No question.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, fellas. Take care now.
All right.
You too.
There you go. But yeah, Reedie, you can close us out.
Nah, I mean, just a great conversation from Lake Lewis, man. Just giving us that insight that fly. I'm a guy that always says that I want to be a fly on the wall in the organization, and this is an insider who's there every day, just giving us a different perspective on what us as fans see within this team and what's being reported. And like that was some heavy talk right there, from Lake, and that's his thoughts on the Terry situation and just this team as a whole as it relates to training camp and just the roster and everything he spoke about the depth in the secondary. And, he also talked about, it's going to be some tough choices that's going to be made as it relates to players that, make this practice squad or who get, released or whatever. So it was great insight from him, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely great insight. We touched on a lot. And I'm actually glad we saved the Terry part for last because, like we said, definitely some heavy info, some things that a lot of us and some other fans probably, didn't think or, didn't really consider. So like we said, everybody here wants Terry back. I don't think it's anyone in this fan base that just wants to get rid of him. You know what I mean? So hopefully they can come to an even ground. And it's a number that can work for us and him, and we can move forward. But other than that, man, training camp tomorrow. More insight, more engaging, more connecting with people, more interviews. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm not necessarily looking forward to being out there sweating profusely all day, but everything else that comes with it, I'm looking forward to that. But bro, it's hot out there, bro. I ain't gonna hold you.
It definitely was hot. But Reedie had a little shade today. He
I was good.
And he had his readers. He got his readers as soon as he got in, so he was a little cool.
Yeah, that readers, it cool you down a little bit. But man, that first day we was out there, I was having a struggle. I felt like I was like, my mother or somebody saying I'm having a hot flash. It was so hot out there, bro. It was crazy. But it was also good to see all of the other YouTube collaborators and as well as podcasters out there. I mean, we were able to take a picture with Juan Gotti Talking Sports, OTF podcast, and PSN Network, and some others that were out there today, man. It was just a great day, in this Commanders community, us celebrating this team that we all cheer for. Through it all, through the ups, the downs, the in-betweens. Like we always say, our motto, win, lose, draw. We're going to be there for this team.
Yep.
But do us a favor, like Z already said, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you can get other informative videos such as this. Tap into the comments with us on Instagram. We're on there every day. We try to answer every comment. If we miss you, we'll get back to you. But if you see us at camp tomorrow, come and say hello, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are approachable. You know, we want to just chop it up with, you know, the people that are in the comments and kind of put a face to a name and things of that nature. But until next time, we are out of here.
Reedie Zee shout.